It's Monday with the Mayor. Hello, I'm Bill Potter, and I am at the City Hall of Jasper, and we're talking with the Mayor of Jasper, Terry Seitz. It's good to talk to you again, and there's always a lot of things going on in Jasper.
There is, Bill. We've actually, since we've last spoken, a lot of things have happened. One thing for the public input, we'll probably talk about this again in a couple weeks, but on April 2nd, the Jasper Downtown Jasper Master Plan work, the project which City Visions is overseeing for us. We will be having our first public input session on that. Going to be around 5:30, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock that night. It will be in the former Yamaha building, or what's called the Hoosier Desk, down in the area near Villa Pizzeria. And we're going to really show and have the meeting there show really what an old building that's been redone for a more recent retail purpose could look like. We'll have some food there for people, kind of a taste of Jasper party, and we're really going to have the public have input. We'll have electronic responders to questions, and people can kind of literally at that moment see how the group is looking to operate. So again, April 2nd, and that's going to be open to the public. We really would like to see a good crowd there. We would hope at least 100 people, and we want your input on Greater Downtown Jasper Master Plan and a riverfront development. Approximately 5:30, 6 o'clock the start time. Will be done by 8.
Okay, and what's happening now with the Jasper Country Club?
Jasper Country Club property has been through all approval process. Right now it becomes simply a real estate a decision, which means a closing, just like many of us have had in homes. So that's the next step. Leave that in hands with the attorneys, and they'll tell me where to sign. But we'll really, everything else regulatory-wise and approval of budget, it's gone through all its process. So one thing, though, that I will be doing is working on an advisory group for that property. They also will be working with City Visions, who is hired in a separate contract to help look at the planning of not just the Country Club golf course, but we're going to be looking at setting a plan basically from Sheeter Road, State Police Post south to the hospital, from the St. Charles Road to the highway. Really, we have a J.C. Armory Park in that area. We have the Armory. We want to involve them as a neighbor. We also have other parcels of property that are for sale in that area. Not saying necessarily that they're going to be part of the city, but because we want to at least look at that and say, how does that wooded area to the east affect us in the flow of things? We just don't want to restrict them. They may see things on trails or connectivity that if they were only focused on that golf course, we would limit their vision. That's what we're called City Visions for. So we want them a broader, wider area. So we'll be ready to go and appointing an advisory committee. Those meetings of that advisory committee will be public.
Okay, and now the Jasper Cabinet?
Yes, Jasper Country Club, Jasper Cabinet
JCC.
Yeah, JCC.
Well, I know in legislation right now they're looking at changing some floodplain.
The floodplain involves floodway, flood fringe. In the floodway, if a building is in the floodway, you cannot have an abode. Essentially, you cannot stay overnight. Residential, apartment, or condo, hotel. And that has been a restriction. It used to be that you could build up around the building, get it out of the flood plain, more or less, acknowledging that the first floor you would not have anything in there that would be a potential loss of life, but you could do things on the second and third floor. And the regulations changed on that several years ago, which is kind of hand-strapped anything could be done with that building. Well, we found about a year ago, after the last legislative session, that the Evansville, there's a small stretch of the Ohio River, specifically it was pulled out by the General Assembly that says it exists, but it doesn't exist in that area. And we had an attorney firm, a law firm out of Indianapolis, look at that, and they agreed that there is great similarity, and that this is an attempt for us to say, let's take existing legislation that was done for Evansville and look and see if we can apply it between the bridge and the bridge in Jasper. Okay. And ultimately that's going to be going again from the Veterans Bridge to the 164 Bridge, which could include the Jasper Cabinet Company building. And I'm very grateful that Mr. Foose is supporting this in a financial way with the attorney firm that would help us instead of having that come from city funds. And he's agreed to do that. We'll see how it all shapes out. Mark Messmer's agreed to bring that bill, that amendment to a bill he has existing for Daviess County. And actually this week I was supposed to be up with Mark for a hearing, but it's been temporarily postponed and not rescheduled. And we were going to see what would happen. I think that's before the Senate. It so happens that it's escaped the House already. The amendments now come into play in front of the Senate. If it goes to the committee, it will be Senator Hume and Senator Young that both sit on that committee. After the last legislative breakfast, I approached them and said, look, this is what we found out. And they were aware of that possibility that it might happen. And Mark was willing to take that shot for us. We're very grateful.
And are there some plans for 3rd Avenue?
Third Avenue, yes, we had the business community participate with us in a letter writing campaign of support, as well as looking at jobs related to potentially a federal grant program to replace an existing water main about a mile, just a little over, from Stadtstrasse to Hope Avenue. That's roughly from the Hucks in Jasper and out 3rd Avenue to just past Holy Family School. And along with that, we would then repave that street too. Both of those have been projects that have been a long time coming in the city of Jasper. We've put them off predominantly because the federal government and the state government made us redo the spillway at the dam of Beaver Lake. That took water rate money that we were going to have in our water department to do this pipe. This pipe's about 60 years old, Bill, and ideally, you know, it could be laid better. The materials are better to be able to work with today. So we were set to have appear for a federal grant and apply for, I should say, and it got hung up for 6 months. And they told us just about 5 weeks ago it was dead in the water, more or less, unless we wanted to keep going and waiting. We felt we had to do this project. So we decided, since we had local funds for it anyway, we would just go ahead and do it locally. And as soon as they got the letter, in fact, even in phone calls after that, we told them we're going to, because of timing, we're going to withdraw our application. And our Federal Economic Development Administration in Chicago seemed rather shocked. So Lisa Gelhausen with Indiana 15 worked with us again and kept saying, do we have it? Do we not? Well, I mean, what are you telling us? And it was really like trying to read fine print. We don't know, but ultimately they said, look, we can promise it to you, but you won't get money till the fall, but it looks like you're going to get it. So we reapplied and hope that we will get it. We put it all back in again for a federal grant. Likely, though, work will not begin instead of 2013. It will become a 2014 project.
Okay, well,
wow.
There's a lot always going on in Jasper. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
No problem. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you. Our guest has been the Mayor of Jasper, Terry Seitz. Thanks for joining us for Monday with the Mayor. Weather is next.